Welcome to my NRL video where I look at some ratings that I've got and see how they perform against the games which are running each round. So let's have a look for the NRL Round 12 2025 results to see how we went. As far as the tips, just on the wins, we ended up with 3 out of 5 last week, which was quite good given there were pretty much 5 upsets last week and we got 3 of them. If we actually look at what the round average was last week, it was 0.7 in the tipping comps, which I was in. So 3 was a fairly good score. And if you look at had we taken it on the line, we're on the plus side, which has been going amazing this year. Pretty much you could just bet every underdog on the line and you would be up significantly. But we got all 5, which is a nice way to go through the week on the line. And if we look here in the home and away actual ratings that were scored by each of the teams, had I been following these in game, it would have also achieved 5 out of 5. One of the interesting things I did notice last week, Bulldogs scored only 13. The reason they were so low in their actual score is they had 0 line breaks. So line breaks is one of the components that goes into this rating, and getting 0, they didn't have many tackle breaks. It just pretty much didn't do much on the stats sheet at all, either in offense or defense. So that's, I think, the worst rating I've seen all year, which is pretty horrible to tell you the truth. I think we get ratings in the 40s, sometimes the 30s. I've not seen one down as low as 13. So expect the Bulldogs to bounce back from that. That's obviously an outlier. You wouldn't expect that to continue. Now, at least this week they're on a break, so we'll have to see how they bounce back from that break. Okay, so moving to today's. Oh, actually, before we move to today's, let's look at the actual bets that we had last week. There were 3 bets. So basically, I will back anything that has a 12 plus predicted handicap at home or an 18 plus for away. I just want that extra 6 points if they're away. And if we had a look here, we had 3 teams which were 12 plus at home. The first one was the Bulldogs. They obviously lost. Second was the Eels, which won, and the Roosters were also there. So if we go look at the odds, here's the 3 games here. The favourite at $1.35 was the one which lost. Our 2 big outsiders at $2.75 and $3.60 both came in. So you can see up until this point, it was pretty much favourites going through. We had a draw there with an outsider. We'd lost a couple, and then 2 big wins. That puts us up now overall for the season at, just sum it up, 2,925. So we can afford almost 3 losses. So we're up kind of 3 units on that $1,000 bet. So still got a long way to go in the season, not even halfway yet. And we'll see where that ends up at the end of the season, but looking good at the moment. I may do some analysis on, every time we tip a underdog, how has it gone, versus favourites. But again, I'll do that at the end of the season and do a wrap-up video. You've got all the videos there that I've done if you wanted to go do it yourself, but I will do a summary at the end of the year. Okay, so looking now at this round coming up, round 13. So this is the rating for the home side. So Dragons are 101, Knights are 106. That's the away side. This is just a comparison between these 2 ratings. So there's a 5-point difference. And this is what that turns into as the handicap. This is the Sportsbet spread. So it's -5.5. and this is what we would take based on what our handicap says versus the spread. So Dragons versus Knights, I've got the Knights as winning, only by 2 points though. Knights have got a 5.5 head point start, so we would take the Knights on the spread. Titans versus Storm, we've got the Storm, obviously. Titans are bottom of the table, Storm's at the top. It's saying there's roughly a 7-point handicap there. Generally, I'll round those to a score that you'd get in the NRL. So you can think of that as basically being either a 6 or an 8-point margin to the Storm. But Titans have got a 10.5 head point start, so we'll take the Titans on the spread there. Cowboys versus West Tigers. Terrible ratings here, both of them. Interesting because Cowboys went from, scoring some very large ratings a few weeks ago, and their form has dropped off considerably. So now they're only pushing a predicted 69 rating. West Tigers are still worse than that at 51. So again, that's another 7-point margin. The line is 8.5 to the West Tigers. So again, we'll take the spread with the West Tigers. Seagulls versus Broncos. Broncos are predicted to win here by 11. Seagulls are a bit hit and miss. They do play better at home. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Seagulls pull out a good rating this week against the Broncos, especially with State of Origin on. But it's just looking at the ratings, purely going on ratings, it's an 11-point margin to the Broncos. Given the Seagulls are favourites, the line's 3.5 to the Broncos. We'll happily take the Broncos there with that. Rabbits versus Warriors. The Rabbits are only a 2-point difference in the ratings here against the Warriors. Warriors have been putting in some ratings that they're winning with very poor ratings, is what I'll say. So they're higher on the ladder than they should be, but so are the Rabbits. So it just comes down to who actually can score from their opportunities in this game. There's less than a point handicap here. Rabbits are 1.5 on the spread, so let's just take Rabbits on that one. Panthers versus Eels. Looking at the Eels to win this, Panthers are pretty much just lost it this season. I don't know what they're doing. It's almost an 8-point handicap there to the Eels to win this. The Eels are essentially the underdogs here anyway, so we will take the Eels with the plus 4.5. The Roosters versus the Raiders. We've got the Roosters here with a rating of 98, Raiders with 87. Both coming off wins last week. The Raiders put in a fairly poor rating with a 64, whereas the Roosters put in a 92 rating. That 64 has probably dropped the Raiders down a little bit, so that was a wet weather game, so understandable that the rating may be down slightly. So this game's probably a little bit closer than the predicted handicap of 4 points to the Roosters. Roosters are underdogs here, so we're going to take the Roosters with the plus 1.5. But I do expect this to pretty much be a flip of the coin between Roosters and Raiders. But we'll be taking Roosters at home. Okay, that's pretty much it for the NRL ratings for this week. Let's see how we go. Good luck in your tipping comps. Good luck if you're having a bet. There are no bets that meet our plus 12, plus 18. When you go down here, nothing even close this week. So no bets. Enjoy the Origin. If you're looking for a tip for the Origin, obviously New South Wales has a good side there. Queensland with good players in both teams. It's in Queensland, which always gives Queensland a bit of a boost. And at this level, Origin games really come out to which side gets on top. And where the ball bounces and what the ref's decisions are. So first game's always a bit more harder to pick. Just going off players, I'm probably going with New South Wales on this one, but only a slight edge, but not enough to have anything more than a bit of a friendly bet on it, just to have a bit of fun. Okay, enjoy the Origin, enjoy the football this weekend. Looks like a good round, some very interesting close games, hard to tip, but let's see where we come out of it on Monday. I'll put up my AFL video tomorrow. That is doing quite well as well, especially if you're looking for bets. That has bets every single week. I'm also leading the tipping comp still after the 11 rounds in the AFL. I think it's 11 rounds. And the tips are fairly profitable there. And I've got a few different ways you can bet, either stick to the favourites or take all of the bets which are value. But it'll give you something else to bet on, given we've got no bets here in the NRL this week. Okay, thanks everyone, and I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and good luck if you're having a bet.